Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I got a very special guest for you today. This is Crystal Arrington. She is amazing, and I'm so excited to have a conversation with her today and share this special interview with you. Welcome, Crystal.
Thank you for having me.
I'm
Super cool.
Yeah.
It was a little odd to be asked. I've never been asked something like this. So yeah, I'm excited.
I'm so happy that you're here. The reason why I asked Crystal to be on the show today is because she is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. She's a real estate agent, and she is just a phenomenal person, having experienced a lot in life and constantly just overcoming obstacles and shining. And when it comes to the whole world of sports and jiu-jitsu, I think that's kind of one of those sports that really showcases what challenging, growing, learning is all about. What got you started? Why did you start jiu-jitsu?
Funny enough, like I had my daughter in it. And I thought, man, that looks fun. Like that just looks fun. I grew up with older brothers. And so we were always like playing really rough, like roughhousing, and not saying they beat up on me, but they definitely made me tougher. They made me tougher. And so that when I just saw her doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's me all day. And at the time was separating from marriage, things like that. So I was like, oh, I need a good outlet. This looks like something that will be great. And it was. It turned into like, going 1 day a week to 2 days a week to 3 days a week to like, okay, how many times can I get in a week? Because it was just such a good outlet. And and like you said, you just keep growing and changing, and you're learning so much every single time you go. It's never boring.
Yeah.
So yeah. It was
how many years have you been doing it now?
I'm going on 9.
It's amazing.
9 years.
Okay, and you're a brown belt now, which is one of the highest accomplishments. Like you got
one
after this, the black belt, and then after that, it's pretty much just sitting in it till somebody gives you a coral or a red belt, right?
Yeah, I'll never see that. But you do, like, you have to still, even at black belt, like you still have to continue training. You still, if you're trying to be an instructor, you have to be actively training yourself, and you have to, continue teaching your classes and things like that. And so you can keep getting different stripes or degrees. As a black belt, now I should potentially see some of those. I'm not too old yet, but getting there, and so, but like coral red, that's reserved for like Master Travis, not like our head professor, like not people like me.
No, the coral isn't the coral when you've been a black belt for 30 years. Did I hear that correctly?
Active. And so much goes into it. Like it's not many of us get to see that day. Yeah. So it is super cool to be in the presence of people like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because having just started that journey and being a white belt, look to feel the same way about you. You come in with your brown belts, and I'm like, it's just a little bit starstruck because the little that I know, I'm learning. There's, like you just said, a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that. Like, what type of work? What do you mean?
So like, and like what you just said, like whenever I came in, like I had all these people that I look up to, and I still look up to them now, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, she's magical. I just saw her, and like one of my closest friends, like Jackie Yin, she's professor now too. And so, which is so cool to see her, because I want to say she was blue, getting ready to go into her purple belt whenever I was just starting out.
Wow.
And so we've just been friends all these years. Right. And like to see how hard she works, and then she would like kind of take me in and get me to do a lot of the same things that she was doing. And like, this is a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
And so you're always, like I said, you're always learning something. So you can't just, you can't go in with this closed off mind, because some of the moves we do, like shrimping. What the heck is shrimping? You know what I mean?
The names too, right? The names too.
And so like you just have to go in open minded. So I think that's a big thing when people first step on the mats. They're like, I'm not doing that. That's weird, or I don't understand that. And so, but just understanding, like the more open you are to all these different techniques and the crazy stuff your professor's trying to get you to do in class, there's a reason behind it. And like once you hit that move though, or you're rolling with somebody and you hit that move, you're just like, oh, I did learn something. Yes. Like I accomplished something, like I put this puzzle together, and, it's great. But there's also days where you're just like, I shouldn't even be in here.
Yeah.
And you have those moments, and I don't think that ever goes away either.
Yeah.
So it's like it's always like a back and forth with yourself, I think, on the mats, like just trying to figure out like, okay, I'm starting to get some stuff. The jiu-jitsu's so vast, and all the knowledge that comes with it.
Yeah.
Like you're never going to be an expert in it.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
So you're always like just a student. I don't care what belt you are, you're always a student.
Always just,
Yeah.
you know, that's
And
what
that's the cool thing.
yes, that's what I
Yeah.
feel. I'm so intrigued by it because it sounds a lot like life.
Yeah.
Right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
they say, you know, always learning. You're never going to stop learning. You're never going to have it all figured out. And that's what
Right.
jujitsu feels like a lot.
And life tries to choke you sometimes.
Yes, I like that parallel. It tries to submit and tries to choke
It
you.
tries to choke you sometimes. Like, what do you do to get out of it? You
Yes,
know, so
yeah.
it does help you with like problem solving in your real life. And like I said, you're gonna have the emotions. There's so many emotions that come in life and people you meet and in and out of your life. And same thing with jujitsu. You're gonna have people come in and out of your gyms. You're gonna get really close and attached, and then sometimes you'll never see them again. You know, so even like it's just strange. Like it's such a neat sport to be in just
Yeah.
because you become family with so many people,
Yeah.
but also you're like learning so much about yourself.
It makes a lot of sense. My experience has been, and it's just been a couple of months for me now, has been those days that you've described of feeling discouraged. And what was hard for me was because I often come at things from a more creative or musical standpoint.
Yes.
And I felt like jujitsu was very much, the art of it requires a lot of strategic thinking. And either seeing something come or being resourceful in regards to how can I respond to this. And it's you know, it's so detailed. It's not even like, okay, where do I put my foot? I mean, freaking, you know, the way they use their toes and the way that they angle their hand. And your eyelash could be tilted 90 degrees to the wrong way. And you're going to be submitted. You know what I mean?
They're passing you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's so much detail and it feels overwhelming at times. And that part can be discouraging. Or vice versa, that feeling of excitement when you do get a move right, even if it's just something simple like moving your leg out of the way.
Moving yourself out of your way. You know what I mean?
my gosh,
And
yes,
that's the
getting out of your
thing.
own way.
Get out of your own way, get out of your own head, like just move, you know, or just remove yourself from that. And that's the thing, like we'll talk about like in my kids class, I'll say like stop trying to push them away, pull yourself away, you know, make your own distance. You're trying to create distance, but you can use them to push off of and get away from them. Right. But don't, if it's not working, don't keep sitting there in it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh,
so that's what I say, like it's life and on the mats, like it goes together.
With every moment that I either do jujitsu or that I talk about it, it becomes more and more profound. And as you know, a lot of my focus is that music is psychology and just going around the world, as I say to my viewers often, and just to learn things, be it through music,
cool.
be
That's
it through
cool lifestyle.
Yeah, it's exciting because there's so much, right? Every single person has a story. Everybody's life is as intricate as our own, and there's so much to learn from, like I said, music, art, sports. And now I'm trying to dive more into sports, how it connects with music, with the human being, with our mind. And with jujitsu, it's just fascinating. Even what you just said, to get out of your own way. I mean, that could have me at the verge of tears because there was a move we recently practiced, and I believe it was trying to get out of side control. We were practicing this move of getting out of side control, and it was basically pushing yourself away from the person, right? Getting your arms and your elbows in, keeping them close to your body.
Building boundaries.
Yes.
Building frames.
You're building frames, you're building boundaries, you're protecting yourself. And there was an aspect of trying to put my arm and my elbow. He's gonna love me. Trying to put my arm and elbow between me and my opponent, pushing his or her face to the side. But then they would emphasize how when I turn on my hip, and there was a lot of, you know, me having to do the work. But then the idea was, if I recall correctly, pushing myself away versus pushing the person away from me.
Because a lot of times they're bigger, they're stronger.
Yes.
Right? And we're going to run into that. And so even though it's bigger, stronger, okay, that's fine. But make your space, build your frames, have your boundaries, and then start to push yourself away. Like if you're in a bad situation, start to push yourself away versus trying to push them away. Like let them be there. If that's where they want to be, let them be there. And I think that's what I'm learning this year. That's the big lesson that like every year and like throughout the year, you learn some type of life lesson in jiu-jitsu and just in general, right? As we're growing and we're changing. But I think this year has really been about just like, okay, it's not working. It hasn't been working. Pull yourself away.
Yes.
You know, and build your boundaries, build your frames.
Yes.
Let them stay where they are.
And not,
and so
that's powerful. Maybe not even spending as much time and weight and energy on pushing them off of us, right?
Stop using so much energy to keep pushing back against the force. That's just trying to hold you down. That's what I was telling you earlier, like turning 40, it's like revelations left and right, you know, like light bulbs finally going off. And it literally has been just like the past few months. And so, and that's the cool part about it though. Like as you grow and change, so does jiu-jitsu with you. Where you're at right now, obviously I'm not there. But where I'm at now, now is like, okay, I really, I want to be a better teacher. I want to be able to instruct co-ed classes. I want to be able to transition even more into what I'm loving, which is the teaching aspect of it. So whereas like, no, I'm not a white belt anymore, just trying to figure out like, what the heck is a shrimp? And why would I do that? And then a breakdance? What are you talking about? That all just sounds crazy to me. We're butt scooting.
Yeah.
Why? There's like so many questions. And because I'm a kids coach, I get those questions. And then my kids, I'm like, you'll see, guys, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it is silly, But it's fun because I'll let them name, not to sidetrack, but like I'll let them name moves too. So even like butt scoots and things like that, my kids have come up with totally different, crazy,
I love that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Probably helps them to remember it.
It does. But that's how they have to grow.
Yeah.
And that's their little journey and that's what they understand. And so it's super cool, like just to meet so many different walks of life and know, like I can learn from them, they can learn from me. Like last night, there was a part in the move that we learned and I wasn't understanding like where to put my foot. And when I talked to Josh, and he's blue belt, like he was helping me. He was teaching me something and like showing me how to do the technique a little better. And I'm like, oh, he got it. I need to ask him. And so that's the part of like, don't feel like you can't. Oh, that person's a brown belt. Ooh, but no, like we're in there trying to learn just as much. And so sometimes like, even though you think, oh, I'm this lower belt, I can't help, I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll see, something. I'm like, hey, show me that. Because I'm like, oh, that's cool. How'd you figure that you cracked the code? Share it with me.
I love that because there's a lot of humility in that. Obviously, it's humbling to be submitted and choked and guillotined.
Just repeatedly.
Over and over and over.
You're like, okay, pull your big head back.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Learning like strength is not going to do it. Or just brute force or just intensity because of all the technique that goes in. It's really an art. But there's humility not only in that part for obvious reasons, that ego being humbled, but in what you just shared, being willing to learn from someone that is above or below you in regards to belt, in regards to experience, because they will share it in a different way than in the other person, right? I mean, even two people of the same belt or rank or stripe amount, they have different personalities and different ways.
Different body types,
weights. Yes.
It's okay to do it different. Your body's different. Like, why would you think you can do it the exact same way as them? Just to hear that. And that's where I say, like, even no matter what belt you are and as you go along, like you're always going to get good, advice or like have those aha moments where you're like, oh my gosh, why was I beating myself up so much? There's so many of us. It's so vast, and everybody's got like a different perspective. Some of them you're going to agree with, some of them you're not.
Right.
And that's okay. And that's what I say, leave them where they are and remove yourself if it's a problem,
Yeah. And to speak back on that, because you spoke about boundaries and about pushing ourselves away from the other versus working so hard to push them away. I think that also speaks on letting people be what they are going to be.
That's it.
Like what you said earlier, let them, even if they choose to stay. I think a lot of our energy goes into trying to change people, relationships, the world around us so hard. And it's frustrating because we can't control them.
To hear us.
Yes. Yeah. We want them to hear us. Like,
please. We're so frustrated.
Yes.
And you don't know how to get that out. But then like you just find out eventually. Sometimes with some people, you're never going to be able to.
No. And you have to push yourself off of them to be able to breathe again.
And then let them have the space to be who they are.
Yes.
Because you're also like, you're not just impeding yourself, but you're also impeding their growth.
Ooh, that's
in my opinion. Like, and I'm just...
Ooh, that gave me goosebumps.
I'm just coming to this conclusion. And like I said, I'm almost 40 and it's taken me this long.
How do you feel about that? Because that statement just related to that, because I do the same thing sometimes or in my own way, where I'll look at where I am, my age, the things that I've experienced, and I feel like I should be further, or I resent that I didn't know it 20 years ago.
Yes. You think you should be further and you resent where you're not.
And it's hard for me to let that go sometimes. It's hard for me to go, why did 19-year-old Rosalie not know? Yeah, or why can't I, like reliving those moments and storying myself a certain something, but not being able to look at that younger self with mercy and go, you didn't know what you didn't know.
Exactly.
But that's hard for me to accept because I'm supposed to know. I was supposed to be better.
We're supposed to be in charge of our little lives. And then when we start having children, we're in charge of these lives. And then if we don't have the answers, who does?
Exactly.
And then it gets scary because you've got all these dependent on you.
Yeah.
But again, like being forgiving to yourself. I love what you said earlier, like hug that younger self of you.
Yeah.
Like you deserve that. She deserves that.
She deserves that.
That was so neat. I needed to hear that today. So
you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. That part's painful, isn't it?
Very. that's your ups and downs, right?
Life is hard.
Oh,
Life
yeah.
is really hard. Tries to submit us, doesn't it? All the
All the
freaking time.
Yes, all the time.
Why do you think it's hard to remove yourself? What are you?
I think you
what are
get
you afraid of?
attached. Like I know you get attached to certain people, certain things, and then but you also know it doesn't serve you. You know it's not good for you. It's not good for your well-being. But that attachment, and then knowing like, okay, well I failed, and then I struggle with that. Like I don't want to feel like I failed. Just get to that realization, like I'm impeding my own growth.
Yeah.
You know, by not just accepting that failure and going, okay, it didn't work.
What does failure? What does failure mean to you? What does it represent? So, if this relationship or friendship or it's interhuman situation doesn't work out or is not what you hoped it would be, it feels like failure. If a person has to go or you have to remove yourself,
Right.
What does failure mean to you?
That I didn't do it enough. That I came up short.
Do
And
you
so
feel like
that's
that's a
hard.
core fear?
Oh
You
yeah,
feel like that's part of how you've
yeah,
developed? Always afraid you're not enough.
for sure. And so, but that's where like it's good to have this community, and it's awesome to have this community because where you don't feel like you're enough over here, this other person might take you and be like, "Oh my gosh, thank you. You know, you're an asset. You're
You're everything.
helpful. You're you know you're an amazing person, XYZ, you know." So that's where I say holding on too long, you know, learning that this year, holding on too long, and then you just making sure that you're removing yourself in time,
Yeah.
that you have space to grow, but also give them space to grow. Hard
Maybe
lessons this
It
year.
is. And sometimes maybe having to tap out wasn't failure.
Right.
If you have to tap out of a relationship or if you have to tap out jujitsu and literally, you didn't
Yeah.
fail. Your value is not diminished.
Right.
Nobody's gonna take that belt from you.
Yeah.
You know, you have earned the brown belt.
Where you're at. Yeah.
You have earned where you're at. You know, those jewels in your crown that have been forged through fire, because that's, jewelry, diamonds,
Yeah.
literally through fire.
Put
Those
through
diamonds
fire.
in your crown, that belt around your waist is literally what you have earned through sweat and tears, literally and figuratively speaking.
Yeah.
And your value is not going to diminish because you have to tap out.
And I think that's been like how you just said that was perfectly worded. But I think that's been my fear, you know. But here, like now, like moving forward, I don't feel that way
Yeah.
as much as what I did. But like I said, it's having those good
Yeah.
people around me now.
Yeah.
Changing the seats at my table.
Yes. Yes. And realizing that you
Yeah.
have the power to decide who's going to be at your table.
Yes.
Realizing that you can say to someone, I don't want to roll with you.
Yeah. And that's a big one.
That's a huge
And
one.
we don't always know that we're allowed to do that when we first start out.
No.
You know, we just think like we're thrown in and this is what we got to do. These are the rules,
Yeah.
X, Y, Z. And I think that's what we think about life too. Like, these are the rules. This is what I got to accept. This is what I got to do. But no, you're allowed to say no. You're
Yes,
allowed
no,
to
thank
build
you, yes.
boundaries. You're allowed to remove yourself. You're allowed to go be healthy and happy.
Yeah.
You're allowed that.
You're allowed to bow out.
Yeah.
And that's powerful too, because even
Yeah.
the gesture in jujitsu, when it comes to bowing, right? To show reverence, to show respect. I think when it comes to bowing to something, to me, that doesn't just imply respect for someone, but I think sometimes it maybe also surrender. And when we're
Yeah.
bowing to the professor, I know it doesn't imply surrender, at least not in my mind. That situation implies respect. But sometimes in life, I bow to things to show, I'm surrendering, I'm giving something up, right?
Yeah.
When I try to show someone respect, when I try to bow to something or someone, I'm surrendering, I'm letting something go, I'm putting myself down to honor somebody else. And I think sometimes it's okay for us to bow out as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
to humble myself and I'm gonna move myself. I'm gonna bow and I'm gonna get the heck out of here.
Pull back.
Come on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Bow in the sense of surrender.
Yeah.
And in the sense of surrendering to accepting ourselves and to what life is.
Accepting yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. That one's hard.
That one's freaking hard. I am not good at letting go. I am really bad at letting things
Me
go.
and you both.
Oh, I freaking hate it.
How many times though have you hurt yourself by doing that though?
Yes.
You know, and that's the where I'm like, okay, stop doing that.
Yes.
and you just have to.
It's hard for me. Sometimes I think it's a combination of, sometimes I've noticed the pattern in my life where I would be drawn to toxic things because of abuse that I experienced. And so I was drawn to what was unhealthy because I didn't know it any differently.
Yeah.
So I thought that the toxic was the norm. Then I think there's also a psychosomatic element of that dopamine fix. So when there is drama, when there's tension, I get that adrenaline.
Yes.
And it's exciting.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it was a factor, and sometimes all of the above, of not thinking I deserved any better.
Yes.
And the story that I would tell myself. And I would replay past situations over. As I'm getting older, I'm trying to look at it through different angles. So, for example, I would go, why did I romanticize this person? I felt so hurt by this guy that didn't choose me. And for so many years, I had hoped for the chance to hear him say, I messed up. I should have done this and that. For him to be like, damn, I missed a good thing. Ooh, she's turned out real good and blah, blah, blah. Right? I wanted that vindication.
Yes.
Then I would go, why am I romanticizing this? Like, I blew up this whole thing that happened 10 years ago.
It was your
Yes.
yourself hurting yourself.
Yes, because I'm wasting this freaking time
Yes.
missing out on the people in my real life.
Yes.
And missing out on precious intimacy that I could have, where I'm missing out on intimacy beyond physical intimacy, on
Right.
emotional connection, friendships.
Even just to that
Yes.
small, like friendships that you would have had and kept sacred to you had you not kept going down this one path.
Yes, all these different dynamics where we miss out on what is now. We romanticize
You
the
have to
past.
forgive yourself.
Yes.
Once you come to that realization, you go
Yeah.
through the anger, you go through the regret, you go through the remorse,
Yes.
but then you have to forgive yourself.
Yes. And I think
Boy.
that's because it's grief.
Yes.
I think that's those stages you just explained, I think are because it's
Yeah.
grief. And I think sometimes we forget that grief is not just when someone dies.
Right.
It could also be when a relationship dies, when a part of us dies.
Yes.
And I think we forget that sometimes, that all those phases, and they're also not linear. That's the shitty part about it. I hate it. It's not like I have a day of acceptance and I'm like, I'm over this. I'm free. 2
And
weeks
then
later, dream comes back. Dang it.
Yeah. Leave me alone. Like, yeah.
Versus realizing
Yeah.
I have to practice it over and over. Kind of like jujitsu, just to
You
go back to that
do.
again.
Yeah, and some days you're going to go in there, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, today was amazing. Like, I did so good. I got everything. I heard everything Professor was saying.
Yes.
And some days you're going to go in there and you're like, what's my right hand?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I have a right hand? I don't know what you're saying right
listen.
now. And it's like Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. You're speaking Spanish to me right now. And it's literally saying, like, put your right hand, grab the lapel. And I'm like, why am I grabbing the hands? But, you know what I mean? You're just going to have those days, I think. Like, I don't know if it's brain fog. I don't know what it
Could
is.
be.
but-
It's just me over here going head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Right, left. Yeah.
Professor's like, any questions? You got this? I'm like, head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, even hearing you say that was comforting because you as a brown belt, you know your stuff, okay? But even hearing you say, sometimes I don't remember what my right hand is. It's so encouraging.
And I'll look at him. I think last Monday that I came, I looked at BJ at one point and I said, I know what you just said, but I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And he's like, just starts laughing because he's like, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like, sometimes you're just tired by the end of the day
Yeah.
too. And that's the part that like still showing up and keep coming in there because yes, life gets you tired. You're going to be tired.
Yeah.
But you got to work. You got to push through it. You got to be there for other people. So I love that I'm getting to be there with you guys. I love that I'm getting to be
Yeah.
a part of the women there. And like, I love you guys asking me questions. So you're going to find the right people.
Your people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The people that see you. The people
That
that
see
remind you
you.
you are not a burden. You're a blessing. I light up every time you
Yes.
walk in. I light up every time you walk in. I'm like,
I'm like, thank God.
because yes, I'm like, he's over there, God.
Yeah.
No, I love it, but I think
Yeah.
you're right. We that is life too. Is allowing life to weed out the people that are meant to be, the people that are not. Understanding that there's things that are out of our control. I can't control
Yeah.
what the other person's going to do with their body. That goes for life.
Right.
Allowing to do this dance, and that's what I mentioned earlier. How where some, I think for them it's easier to understand jujitsu from the angle of science or strategy, right? My husband, he's really good at strategy and playing chess. That's not me. So I'm trying to figure out how can I make this more into a dance. I believe I mentioned that yesterday.
You did, yeah.
How can
And
I
love
make this? And I don't know yet how. I have not found a translation where I'm like making it a language, make it into a song, make it into a dance. Like that would be more my thing. I haven't figured that out yet, but there too, I think I need to be patient with myself and realize
Exactly.
it's going to be a note by note chord strum, and
more so probably because you don't have as much information
probably.
as you would like to have.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you seem very perfectionist and things like that. And like when you don't know,
Yes.
it's hard.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
Yes.
But like the more you're there and like coming every week, and that's why I said just that consistency, always coming every week, and making sure that you're listening and you're trying. Like eventually your body's going to start to do it and react to what you're learning, right? And then that's when it becomes more of like a dance to me. Where you can just go back and forth with that person. You can flow roll, you'll hear that word flow roll or, slow roll or whatever, but learning off of each other, but in this like nice, methodical way where you're not like trying to kill each other. You're not trying to like snatch something. We like to say like catch and release. Like you catch a submission, but you release it because both of you are not there to like prove how many times I can submit you. Sometimes that's like,
you're gonna make me cry.
Don't cry.
You said something really profound there, that flow. See, and that's why I think, in addition to not knowing much and it just being brand new to me, that's why I think it's hard sometimes because right now I still come for the sake of surviving or trying to kill.
Yeah.
And I think that's often how I still tackle life a lot of times. It's like, I'm gonna go kill that sucker and I'm gonna go and fight and I think a lot of it is still survival and fight or flight.
That's my daughter, when she told you earlier, she really loves me a lot. Like, she knows for a fact.
Her mom,
fight.
Yes.
And so that's, it's not the right way.
No.
So, is it? Not really.
No, I mean, sometimes it's a lot of fun. It's a crap ton of fun.
Sometimes you gotta get that out. There was a time in my life I'm like, say something to me. Like in a grocery store.
Yes.
But you're just angry at that point. You're just like, have so much going on and so much has happened. And like you said, you're in fight or flight mode all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's too where we were talking about like being in toxic situations, being in relationships or friendships or whatever that's not good for you.
Yeah.
But we do it because we've been in fight or flight for so long. And there is science behind it and medical behind it, that we're constantly getting that release that we're like, okay, I can do anything right now. But we're getting that dump too, where we're just like, oh my gosh. And then we get depressed and then we get, down on ourselves and it's so much. But you're talking about, your intensity and things like that. And you feel like you're too intense in jiu-jitsu, but how can I slow down? Things like that. Pick a partner that, is also looking for the same goals as what you are, and a lot of times, like if I have somebody that's intense, like working with me and I can feel them like shaking, I'll literally whisper to them and go, hey, breathe.
Shoot, if you do that with me, I'm gonna probably break down and start sobbing.
No, don't stop. But I'm like, just breathe.
This is therapy.
I'm like, I know you're strong. Now just breathe and like, let's match each other for a minute and see what you learn. Like take your time. But like, I haven't taken that into my life as much as I should have.
Yeah.
Like I'm learning that on the mats to an extent, but pulling it into my own life and going, okay, girl, just breathe.
Yeah.
Slow down. You don't have to be intense. You don't have to be anxiety ridden. Like, slow down.
What do you think might happen if you slow down? If you translate what you're learning in jiu-jitsu
I'd be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like I know that. I know I'd be unstoppable in business and life and jiu-jitsu, everything, like my everyday. It would be fantastic.
If you learned to breathe and
just breathe and slow down. But I think that's like, if you're constantly in that fight or flight, and you're around these intensity all the time, toxicity all the time, if you're able to pull yourself away. And I think that's what I really enjoy now here recently, is that the people who are teaching me and people I'm around, they are calmer. They don't have that intensity or that, I don't want to say like, not animosity so much, but just bad energy back and forth, just to have like that peaceful place now. And it's almost like, oh my gosh, I can slow down, and they're starting to teach me, like, because they have a really nice way of speaking. Like they have a good mannerism about them. Like you're with BJ all the time. Like he's a very soft spoken, like he gets his point across. And he doesn't have to be intense. Yeah. And so to be able to see that with these leaders and things like that, like you don't have to be intense to get your point across. You can slow down. You can take some deep breaths. You can step back for a second. And like I said, like Mike, we have fantastic conversations just in general about life, and and we're about the same age, I guess you could say. So it's nice to have, and then his wife Sharon, fabulous, like both of them, just to be able to hear them and like really hear them. And they're
Yeah.
very soft spoken. They have like the calmest energy ever, you know, so it's nice. And it's kind of like I can start to feel it pulling me out of that fight mode or that flight mode as much,
Yeah.
you know? And then Jackie, like she's there with me all the time too. And this girl, like one day, like you're gonna meet her because she is fabulous. Like how you described me walking in, like when I see her, like I'll just go, oh, she's beautiful, you know, because I just adore her. I'm like, oh, I just want to be her one day. You know, when I grow up, I want to be Jackie, and she's younger than me.
Yeah.
You know, but like she's phenomenal. And like one of the things, you know, when I was saying like pick a partner that helps you to kind of slow down, she counts. She counts each step of the technique. And at first, whenever she would do it, when I first started out, I was like, I understand what she's doing. But then, like, as she would do it, it actually soothed me too. And she wasn't even realizing she's doing it. She probably to this day doesn't even know that she was doing that. But even now, like, if I see her and I see her just counting, like it soothes me for whatever reason, you know? And so, and it's cool. Like, so you'll find your good partners, your good training partners that like you just cannot live without. Like when you go to jujitsu, and you see them walk in, you're like, oh, my person's here.
Yes.
You know, and it's the best day ever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like it's good to start transitioning into that area of my life.
That's beautiful. It's
Long time
fascinating.
coming.
It's a long time coming.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to see that something that could be so intense can also be so much about peace and release and self-control. To me, the message as you're sharing, I'm thinking you're safe. Like so the message that I want to internalize is letting go or learning to go with the flow. Not necessarily just to submit, okay, just go ahead and submit me. Not that, but
never.
In the sense of
Never. See, don't ever just lay there and take it. Never.
I love how the lie just came out. She's like, oh, no.
See, never the lie.
Yes, I love that. You're like, no, we're going to release and let go.
I'm trying to zip.
Yes. No, you don't have to do that. but I love, but see, that's that beautiful dichotomy that I love of saying, no, we're not going to submit. We're not going to be victims. We're not going to be, how what is, Ren is an artist from the UK. In a big song of his, he speaks at the end about you can either be a victim or a student.
Yeah.
And so I see this dichotomy of release, of letting go, not to be submitted, of course, but to learn and to not be afraid, not to be so headstrong and intense, because you know that you're safe. And of course, when you're with the right partner and a mature partner that has your best interest at heart, you know they're not going to want to hurt you. Sure, they want you to tap and they want to submit you, but they're not going to want to cause you genuine physical harm.
Like you can be safe.
You're
safe.
safe.
Vulnerable.
Yes, you're safe
so
to
that
grow.
one's hard. That one's super hard to do.
God,
you're
that's hard.
always in fight or flight. And so, but that's what I say, like when you finally find like that good group, and it's not just one person that's going to help and guide and direct, like you're going to have so many different people along your journey in jiu-jitsu that it's wild, you know? And like I said, like getting to go be with like the Annas and Denises and, you know, different ones from forever ago when I was a white belt and blue belt. And even now, like I can go take you and introduce you to the women's class, even now on Saturday mornings, you know, and you would love it. And they're all genuinely good people, you know, and they want to help you and want to see you succeed. And so it just is, it's so crazy to me that like, to stay so focused on this one thing where I gotta fight for this one relationship, and I've missed out on amazing things. But I did it to myself, you know, because I wouldn't get out of my own way. And I thought, well, I've got to have this. I've got to focus on this, and there's just no other way. You know. But like once you start to realize, like, remove yourself. Get out of the way. There's still time. And you can.
There is.
And that's the cool part. There's still time to learn. There's still time to have these relationships. And so I guess a lot of it was like a fear of losing. You know, where you said, what does failure mean to you? It means like you lose things. You know, or you lose people or whatever. And so like you just knowing that you're not. Like you're gonna have the right ones in your life. Like once you're able to let go and remove yourself, you're gonna have the right people.
And it's not wasted either. I want to believe that it's not wasted because it's refined you to be who you are now, which is an even more beautiful asset to yourself, but also to these people that are meant to be in your life.
You appreciate them more.
You appreciate them more. You have matured into who you are, which is going to be more appreciated by those who are worthy of your time and your space. They're going to love what you are, who you are, but you wouldn't be that without those obstacles and without the
Exactly.
relationships that were hard. To me, sometimes I think there's also something deeper in regards to how it ties in with my own identity because of the rejection of that person or lack of effort or the failure of a relationship.
Right.
Sometimes I think I've tied that too much to my sense of worth.
Yes.
I started storying myself that maybe if I would have been more or less of something, then things would have worked out.
Yeah.
Um,
They would have found me more worthy, and I wouldn't be in
Yes.
this situation right now.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like, and I guess that's the part. Like, I just want to keep reiterating is like, find your group. Though, if you
Yes.
start to feel that way
Yeah.
within a circle of people, you have to remove yourself.
yes.
There's no two ways around that, because if not, like I said, you're stopping yourself from growing, but you never know how much you're stopping
Yeah.
them from growing, and it's not
True.
fair either side.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
not to say that side's bad or you're bad or whatever. It's
Yeah.
just
Some things just don't work together.
Yeah.
Some same with jujitsu, right? Some
Mhm.
moves it's hard
Just
to get
don't
into the
work.
next. It just doesn't work. And in
Yeah.
the same sense, even the fact that you know how we were talking earlier about how grief is not linear, and sometimes we think we've accepted something or healed or let it go, and then it comes back up.
Yeah.
To me, that also makes me think of the way that we enter into different moves, right? For example, one of the moves that I like a lot is the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
I love that one. And I obviously know 0.0001 about it so far. But one thing I do know in theory is that there's going to be different ways to get into that move, right?
Yes.
I have
Yep.
to figure out how to get there. That's
It's ways to get out.
Yes, ways to get out, and it's an end stage.
Yeah.
So just as much as there's different ways to get in or approach that
Mhm.
that style, just the same with life, right? There's gonna be days where watching a movie may trigger some of that past trauma, and we thought we had overcome it, and we thought we had accepted it, and now we're thinking of that person again. Or a dream, right? Hard, more out of our control than the movie we pick.
Exactly. Because you can turn
or-
the movie off.
Exactly,
Sometimes you
right?
can hope you're going to wake up.
Yes, exactly.
Just
But then when you
end it.
wake up, now it's still lingering there.
And now you're awake thinking
Exactly.
about it.
And maybe you stay busy and you're trying to stay distracted, but it's
Yeah.
lingering in your subconscious. And at the end of the day, you're going, I'm so freaking agitated, not realizing
Yeah.
that dream triggered anxiety. That
And now
was
you're
the-
exhausted.
And now you're exhausted because it kind of set the tone.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you, but for me, then sometimes I just go and do it and I stay busy.
Yep.
And then I'll pay attention to what was the underlying, what's
100%.
actually causing that anxiety in me.
Yes.
And that too takes slowing down.
It
Says,
does.
let me stop. Let's shake. I'm gonna tap out. I'm gonna start over with somebody else.
And I'm going to breathe. I'm going to breathe and know it's okay.
Yes.
And I am safe. I'm
Yes.
safe to do
You're
all these
safe.
things.
Yeah.
But then, like, talking about music and things like that and intensity. So, like, yes, sometimes, like, say you're in competition mode, I think, like, intense music, go for it. Like, it's great, you know. But if you're literally just trying to roll and trying to flow roll, and you want to correlate it with music, like, I have a station on my Pandora that's just, like, chill instrumental music where there's no words there, it's just the music itself, and it's like songs that it's mainstream, some of them,
Okay.
but it puts it in like a chill mode. It actually slows them down and it
Nice.
takes the words out.
Okay.
And I love it. And I'm just like, if I could roll to that every day, I would.
Really?
Just because, like, it just calms you down.
See, I got to do that
So-
more because it's funny you mentioned the music because whenever they put some metal or rock or heavy metal on,
I
I
feel like
I
you
go into
have to
beast
go.
mode, and I love it though. That's the funny
And that's
thing is,
awesome for competition mode.
yes.
Yeah.
But when you're just trying to go with that flow, it's probably going to be harder.
Yep.
And it does really get me hyped.
Because the body feels it. I feel like the body feels the energy around it,
Mhm.
right? And so, like, and I feel like some of us absorb it more than
Yes.
others do sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And so when that happens, like, if you're already an intense person on the inside and anxiety ridden, like, sometimes that can be like you're
Yeah.
hitting a brick wall. Like, it's going to make you crazy
Mhm.
trying to, but if you feel like that's happening to you, then, like, put that slower music on, like, pick that person, go meet up. It's good conversation. It's therapy. It's, if you want to talk about something today, you can, but you don't have to. You can just roll.
It's like jujitsu is therapy.
That was the
That might
therapy
need to be
session.
the title of the
Yeah.
video.
Yeah,
Jujitsu is therapy.
It is, but that's like, and when you find those really awesome people that are willing to go down that
Yeah.
journey with you,
Yeah.
and literally start to tell you, like, okay, what do you need? It's like, get your health in order,
Yeah.
or like changing the way we eat or different things like that. So not only, like, do I have certain people in my life that are, they want to see me succeed business wise or on the mats or whatever I'm doing, but, like, I have these really cool people that want to see me mentally, emotionally healthy
Yeah.
and successful.
Yeah.
And to, like, start filling my table with those people
Yeah.
is the goal. And I think it should be everyone's goal.
I think so.
So
Absolutely.
sometimes it hurts. It's hard to get there.
It is.
But
It
fill that
is.
table.
Especially because of the story. I think sometimes the hard part is because of the story we might be telling ourselves about that person that needs to get up from the table.
Yeah.
Right? Or the table that we need to get rid of.
That we need to walk
Or the
away
house we
from.
got to get out of, or like
Yeah.
burn the house down. Sometimes it's beyond just even the
Let's
table.
light a match
Just got to
sometime.
light the match, destroy the table, move out of the house. But I think sometimes really how we story to ourselves what happened or what this is, right?
Yeah.
Or how it ties in, like I said earlier, with our identity, our self of worth, what, like you said, the fear of failure, and how that ties into sometimes maybe things as old and as far back as childhood, right? Messages we received from caregivers, that message where we think certain things become our value, and now it's hard to break. But I love that you're saying the remedy to that, in addition to jujitsu being your therapy and learning all these beautiful things, is figuring out who is at your table. And I think that's an important thing to figure out, because we have this one life.
Yeah.
And we forget that the
And that's
people
what
we're
we
so
talked
obsessed
about.
about are not adding a day to it.
Yeah.
They're not adding a single
They're
second to
not.
your life. So like if we're on our deathbed,
Yeah.
they can't add a single second
But
to make
all
our
the
life
stress
longer.
that you allowed.
You gave them, yeah.
That you gave.
Mhm.
And it is you. Like you're in charge of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the coolest things about, we talked about me being in real estate and things like that. Like my actual broker is a black belt as well. And I train with him 1 or 2 days a week. I need to do better with that. But I do my Noki classes with him, and it's Tim Stout. And so like that was the part where I was telling you, they're in our brokerage, like they're building agents from the inside out.
Yeah.
And so like just having that put on my doorstep and like
What a gift.
yeah, and it is a gift. And I want to say, like, working on yourself is probably the hardest, most frustrating gift someone can give you
Yeah.
that you will appreciate
Yes.
more than anything once
Yeah.
it's done.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're ever done working on yourself,
No.
but I think you make breakthroughs. And I think you find like your guiding light. You find your way out
Yeah.
of certain situations. But I think it's people like that come along and they're going like, you're worth more. You're worth more. And here's the tools
Yeah.
to learn how to be worth more.
Yeah.
I see it. I see you, but you need to see you.
You need to see.
Yeah. So it's super cool. But I think that's where like doing jujitsu and doing it for so long, and you have like these certain black belts that I've named off that are literally doing that. They're living that lifestyle, and they're making sure that they're bringing people with them
Mhm.
from the inside out. And it's not all about, oh, but did you win a competition this week?
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's about, but did you become a better person this week?
Yeah.
Did you value yourself a little more today?
Yeah.
Did you get rid of some of your anxiety?
Yeah.
What are you doing to build yourself from the inside out and become a better person? And so just to have that now and have that in my life, it's something totally different.
You know, it makes me think also, these people have come into your life because they're wonderful people.
Oh, yeah.
But another
Yeah.
angle to maybe look at it is that you have attracted those people,
Yeah.
because they wouldn't want to be around you if you weren't as special as you are.
And that's what
And
we
I
talk
think
about.
that angle is sometimes forgotten. You
It
go, oh,
is.
this person is
Yeah.
spending time with me. Who am I that they,
Yeah.
I love. And it's nice to give honor where honor is due, right? Like the bowing
Yeah.
in jiu-jitsu, we honor those who accomplished a lot, but to also shift that and to realize these masters are masters not only in jiu-jitsu, but have what we would say a master of spirituality, of life,
Yeah.
would have, which is that peace, which is that serenity, which is discernment, when to be on, when to be off, kindness, empathy. They have all these things, and they've refined all this, maybe because they've been through the fire themselves, and they're now pulling you in to be the same, perhaps by just simply holding up a mirror.
Yeah.
They're not standing outside of a door or window going, hey, come over here and be like me. The true masters are holding up a mirror going, hey, look, there's a
You.
master.
Yeah.
Look,
be you.
you're a master.
And you're
It's
amazing.
in there. Yes, it's in there because you're attracting that.
Yeah.
If you were a crappy person, or you, some would call it energy, some would call it spirit, some would just call it, the neurons in your brain, the way they're firing, you name it, whatever you want to call it. If there was something in you that was toxic, or that you were bad for people,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be drawing to you and desiring to mentor you and desiring to spend time with you. That also speaks for the greatness within you, that you are attracting those type of people to your table.
Start listening to them a little more.
Listen to them, but also listen to them. I guess if they're holding up a mirror going, hey, you're amazing, don't just feel like, oh, you're just saying that because you're amazing. Don't do that.
and
No.
that's my
You call me
thing.
amazing because
Yeah.
you're so great that you
Yeah.
spend time with me, but we still keep ourselves down here instead of going, you set that table. They wouldn't be sitting at your table if you didn't set the table and cook the meal and open the door.
Right.
You brought that in, and they came in through the door, and they come sit at your table because of your greatness, because you are just like them. You just
They
haven't
genuinely
realized
want
it.
to- They genuinely want to see you transition
Yes.
into that.
Yes.
It's been a good transition this past year. And I'm
Sounds
still
like
like,
Rosalie.
I'm growing. There's so
Yeah.
much growing, you know, and that's the cool part, I guess. When we're talking about jujitsu and things like that, like you're gonna always grow in it. No matter what. No matter what belt you get to, if you get stuck with that belt for however many years.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. As long as you're going to class every week, you're gonna grow. It's one thing to own it, but now you have to start to change it.
Yes.
You know, and that's where you were saying, like in jujitsu, like I keep putting my foot there, I keep putting my foot there, and it's not working.
Yeah.
So what, you just owned it.
Yeah.
Now you need to change it. What can you do to fix that
Yeah.
problem that you're having? You know, if I can't open the guard because I keep stepping my knee up and their legs getting stuck on my knee, people do it all the time. Well, you just built a table and you just built a wall for them to rest their leg on.
Yeah.
You're not going to open their guard. Like you're blocking yourself. And that's the part, like hearing them tell me these things over and over and over. And God bless them for all being so patient with me and like constantly saying the things I need to hear over and over and over. But like you said, they see something worth.
You're worthy.
Yeah.
You're drawing that in because you're worthy. You're a force worth being around. It's painful, I think. It's beautiful and it's healing, but healing hurts.
Oh
I think people don't talk about that.
Yes.
People don't talk about healing. We romanticize healing, I
Mhm.
think. We romanticize growth. But I think either we don't want to do the work,
Yeah.
we don't like the work part, or we don't talk about how painful healing is. Healing means you're still here, but it's not so often talked about that it actually also hurts. And what do you do with that pain?
Right.
Because it's
now
this-
you've got to fix that.
Yes, yes. It's almost like you fixed my injury, but the healing
Yeah.
hurts. Give me something to fix that. And I
Yeah.
think that too is it's tricky because we live in a time where there is a remedy for a lot of things, right? You can take the pain medication after surgery,
Right.
right? And then thank God, I'm not speaking
Right,
against
right.
the remedy, right? But there's a lot of things we can do to fix that discomfort. And we do it if we're not careful, right? We'll go and, okay, let me watch a movie. I'm feeling anxious. Let me go shopping. We run away, right? We look for that remedy. I don't want to be alone. Let me go hang out with people. Let me watch something. And there's a time and place for that, right? It's nice to enjoy life. But the question is always why, right?
Yeah.
Am I buying this thing for myself because I need it, because I'm treating myself, or am I doing this because there's a restlessness and I feel like I need it? Am I spending time with this person because I really love being with them and they nurture my soul, or because I'm lonely right now?
Yes.
And I could write a few
And it's
songs about
habit.
that.
And it's
habit. And it's easy.
And it is.
And it's easy because it's harder to be alone with me.
Yeah.
You know, it's harder to be alone with me and just to be in relationship with myself. It really feels like jujitsu is therapy. And you did speak. I want to ask one more thing about that. You did speak on the music how you like rolling with instrumental, calmer stuff because you
Right.
want to go into that flow. You're not trying to be aggressive.
Right.
So that's what you say. That's your favorite music to roll
I
to.
would say it's like if I have a choice in
Okay.
it, like I would prefer just some type of background, you know, melody
Okay.
playing.
Okay.
Not really like words. Like I feel like it's distracting. Let's maybe not play balls, you know, and to the window, to the wall. I'm just doing that today.
Let's not put our balls to the window.
Over there playing Barbies while mom's trying to train. Like, let's
Can
be
we-
respectful. You know, like there's certain times where I'm just like, it was just melody, or
Yeah.
you know, you wouldn't have to worry about that. And so,
What do you like to listen to if you're in
Everything.
competition mode?
so I've not been in like competition mode. I don't know if I've ever really been in competition mode. I'll be honest, because like I love like seeing it for other people. I've done competitions in the past, like especially when I first started out. White, blue belt, COVID hit around purple belt. We didn't really get to do stuff like that anymore. And then I just got focused on life and how many businesses can I try to come up with. Competition for me is like, I love it for people who love it. For me, it didn't fulfill me in any type of way.
Oh.
And so if I go in there and I competed and it didn't fulfill me in any type of way, win, lose, whatever, won a couple, lost a bunch, you know, but it didn't fulfill me
Yeah.
one way or the other.
So you're basically saying that competition isn't for everyone?
I feel like it can be for everyone, but what do you want out of it? Like, what's your goal with it? Why are you even doing it? So for me, I didn't get fulfillment from it in that sense, but I love seeing other people
Mhm.
win or just being there when they lose or whatever. I've noticed that with kids class, like I love having my little kids competition team, and I love everything that goes into it and all the emotions that we go through together and just seeing how they change and how they grow from competing. So I see like the awesomeness
Yeah.
of competition, right? But what's your purpose behind it? To have my like my kids knowing like I can pour every bit of myself into them. I can see them go out there, do these amazing things, and the a light bulb go off, or like see them win, or not even win. I have some kids, like they may not have won, but they were able to hit this move that we've been working on, and they'll come straight off the mats and go, I didn't quit. Or did you see me,
Wow.
Coach Crystal? I did blah, 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 like we did in class. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yes.
this is what I meant to do.
And that's what fulfills you.
That's what fulfills me. And this is what I meant to do. Whereas,
I think that's a beautiful
Insane.
too, to see that that's possible, that that's okay as well.
yeah.
That it's not everybody has to do it to earn the highest belt or to compete or for whatever, that everyone is going to approach jujitsu for their own reasons. Being okay with that and realizing it's not wrong or right.
Right.
It's simply different for everybody. Literally how
It's
life
your
is.
journey.
It's your journey, yeah.
Yeah.
Your jiu-jitsu journey. I was trying to make that
It's
funny.
so many
but
J's.
Your jiu-jitsu journey.
Say it 3 times fast.
Yeah. Like, oh crap.
Exactly.
But no, yeah, I think that's just a tied full circle again. That beautiful reminder that there's so many things to learn through jujitsu, even what it means to people as a whole.
Yeah.
And that may change over time with what it does for everybody or what it means to different people at different times. I wanted to touch on, as we're wrapping up, on the music aspect one more time. So you spoke on the music that you like, the music that's fun for competition. What would you say is your favorite music genre, jujitsu aside?
Oh my gosh, it'd be whatever mood I'm in that day.
Okay,
Like,
so
sometimes
it's based on feeling.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's like, do I need to be lifted up? Do I need to like get my mind right for kids class? Am I getting ready to go show this house? Am I like closing a deal?
Do you have
Like,
go-to artists that you like to listen to?
I would have to say, shoot, you put me on the spot with that one.
Take your time.
Yeah, I have to think. I would say some that are really special. Like with my son, our songs were always from like Four Non Blondes.
Okay.
So we always loved them, and of course, like older things like that. As far as like Fleetwood Mac and different ones, like that would be our go-to. But like with my daughter, totally different. It's not just one genre. It's not just one artist.
Mhm.
It's probably like who am I with in that moment,
Okay.
and what speaks to us.
Okay.
How can music help with your jujitsu game? Like if you're wanting to slow down, put on slower music.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to speed up, you need your heart rate pumping. You need to be like aggressive. Like put on that aggressive music. Your
Yeah.
body's gonna feel it, and you're gonna start to
Oh,
react
yeah.
from it.
Yeah.
So that's who I'm with that day, and the vibe that we're getting, and like I guess that'd be what music I would.
Would put on
Yeah.
a picks.
Yeah,
I think that fits well because music is so diverse too, just like jujitsu.
it is.
There's so many, even the way we perceive it, right? We could be listening to the same song and it'll affect us differently.
Yeah.
And I guess that kind of ties in well with what jujitsu is like, how unique, how individual the journey is, and how it overlaps. It's been such an honor speaking to you.
Yes.
It's been incredible. We've talked on so many topics.
so many levels of things I didn't even know I needed today. But super thankful that I had it.
Thank you
Like,
for hanging out with me, Crystal. for
Thank you.
sharing all these things and sharing
for the
your journey.
therapy session you gave me. Like I feel much better.
I'm so happy.
I love it. Like it's like I said, you'll never stop growing in
Mhm.
this. You'll never stop growing in jujitsu, just like you'll never stop growing in life. So it keeps me intrigued. It keeps me
Keeps you going.
keeps me coming back every week.
I love that. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Make sure to subscribe for more, and we'll see you on the next ride.
Bye.